Today was kind of a complex day for a 15th day of April here, so I ended up waking late to the point that even if I prepared it up, I wouldn't have enough time to do it instead. So instead, I called my dad and I told him I'll be late for my first period and that I may never reach there at all to class, but eventually my dad cleared up. I then fed the birds that my mom has, and then I eventually freed the chickens from their cage just to give them their daily feed and help them walk around for the day. Eventually, I took a short break and then I immediately went to shower and prepare myself to walk to school. I wanted to go to a restaurant nearby for a quick breakfast, but I knew I couldn't since we're already running out of time, so I just went straight to class and headed directly for a second period here. I went to PE class and roll call, of course. Khalees and the other boys were all making jokes about Salif having a girl, some issues with a girlfriend, I guess. Next thing that happened is that someone told that we're inside, but I chose to wear sunscreen anyway because we might be outside. I don't know what's gonna happen. In PE, of course, inside the gym, I talked to another friend, Luke, who currently is in ESL, English as a second language, not the other Luke from middle school, I say, and elementary school. Typically, this Luke here in my school used cuss words and said like "f you" humorously since I forgot his name. Of course, ESL learners tend to be like this. Whatever English is offensive, they would probably use it, even if it's whatever. We went on a walk later on, and I've always seen the toxicity of the boy hierarchies, and especially the boy that hierarchy that I'm in. They play around and cuss to each other, but it's mostly for humor. But sometimes it kind of goes toxic. But eventually, I went away and walked away from myself. And instead of playing the daily volleyball game that I do, I witnessed a basketball game that I wanted to join, but I felt too afraid to. It was a game played by Mata, the security guard, Isaiah, and some other modified class teachers. And it was absolutely ball since Isaiah did hit quite a few direct hits and also intercepted a direct hit before by the security guard and blocked many. And so were the teachers also, some of them. This was on the modified classes side during the free time, and a few other players also played basketball right around this point. The craziest one that I witnessed is that as one of the teachers feigned throwing the ball, they ducked as one of the other players tried to block them, and then they made the shot. And I found that hit absolutely crazy. In my opinion, I think I should participate in this game next time it happens, and next time when I get the chance, because even though I lose, it's still a part of my risk taking, always entering the social risk, so that's always my goal. The boys in my group, again, are close to a toxic hierarchy, and I'm not a fully integrated member for that example. They always make their inside jokes. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's not. They play around with each other, sometimes a little too dangerously. An example they said at the end was, what if we touch his head or escape or steal his headphones and then run away? After all, he's Leo, quote unquote, in third person with the toughest guy who was there, who they were talking to. Mostly a joke, but it's kind of like a microcosm. It's rough play right there. It could escalate, but I just chose to walk away. Anyways, next thing for science is that teacher made a surprise announcement saying that certain groups will be answering on the desk board this time because apparently some people keep using bad answers on the assignments. He announced today that he's going to be checking our project for progress also. Two sections, you get the 10 points as a lab grade. I got confused because I thought I was table 5 here, but it was there up there, so I thought I was going to answer one, but I was actually table 6 when the teacher corrected me. The teacher chose our table and told me to tell what other tables to choose to answer. I chose tables 5 and 7, and another one under peer pressure. I chose Salif, so I'm sorry, Salif. Someone also got caught using AI after the teacher reviewed the answers for the class. They got a 0, but then again, they fixed up the answer, but it was pretty humorous at the same time. And other people also used incorrect answers, such as Barberville, Florida being far from the ocean compared to Vegas far. Later on, as the student was answering 8 late, funny thing that someone's phone also ended up ringing during this time, and someone said, "You think he didn't hear that? Phones are supposed to be up in the caddies." And he said it's a watch, which was pretty funny. We knew that was an excuse. The watches simply don't ring as loudly as that. And also, later on, we worked on a La Nina web quest, and one said humorously, "Can I give you $20 to give me 10 points for the teacher because he wasn't able to finish up 2 sections for his given project regarding web systems and regions?" But it was funny though, I'll leave it like that. Much like the bets that I give every day in English period to who's going to be late. Of course, during passing period, 5 minutes passed, and a big problem that I'd face here is that in the restroom this time, in the gym restroom for the boys, they took way too long using the restroom. And the thing is that I barely got to history class in time. Thankfully, I am not late here. And as for history, I made it on time. I learned more about Mao Zedong's complex and very much controversial history all throughout the Chinese Revolution during and after World War II, and how he used the power to establish the CCP as a grew in power and uses farmers. Later on, I finished up another Spanish assignment, and I realized there were too many words, and it's a poem, so I got really annoying because I couldn't finish it in class. I finished up one Spanish assignment, but I got two. I want to complete both of them now, but I wasn't able to, unfortunately. The teacher said about me, who was required to help from last week's deal for test grade changes, asked me for help this time for 3 more times regarding conflicts in the Cold War and learning about words such as utilizer, naming concise details during the Cold War and naming certain conflicts. He was a kid that the teacher promised me to give extra credit for on my test and waived the test scores in promise that I helped him. And of course, later on during lunch, I just realized, oh my god, we have Jesus Club to attend to today. I was like already frustrated because I couldn't finish up my Spanish assignment, let alone the other two. And I was left on a cliffhanger on the video guide that I knew because it only showed the first part of it. And when you only show first part, you just kind of feel incomplete after that point. Combined with the fact that I can finish up the Spanish assignment, that was kind of like a homework rage, which I call it. It's not exactly rage, it was like homework anger. And the thing is that I made myself a deal. No new interactions today in Jesus Club. But we'll finish up that assignment. Still, it's off our backs. But then again, I was like, no, not at this point. We'll just set up new interaction. It doesn't matter. Forget the assignments. It lasts shorter than any possible friendship anyway. But so instead, I decided to interact with like the friend group that's like group ahead of me. So credits to you guys if you're watching this. Anyways, for the Jesus Club, we had Matthew 6:34, one of our daily verses today. That was said during Jesus Club. And the Jesus Club portion at the end that I'd spell here is that at the end, as they're given pizza, the funniest thing is that as the students came in at the end for extra pizza, that's usually given out at the end of Jesus Club. This is so repetitive. Someone said, as someone tried to collect extra pizza, this is the greet they talk about in the Bible, to which many other students and even some of the other teachers also laughed during this time. And during the beginning, the Jesus Club mascot thing that they have, I don't remember what it was called, so oh my gosh, I'll try to remember next time. But later on, after the cool hype up, we had a true false questions activity. So basically, stand up, right side of the seats are true, the left is false, I believe. And the questions that the pastor asked and a lot of the coaches asked today regarding the Christianity is that questions were Jesus first appeared to Peter after the resurrection, true or false? Stones rolled away so Jesus could resurrect. Jesus' disciples even doubted his resurrection. Resurrection is the only miracle before the Gospels. Christian faith is meaningless, which was an obvious third. And the teacher taught us about the resurrection, about the coming of Christ on Good Friday. And he even questioned why it's called Good Friday because it's the worst event ever. It's when Jesus suffered. But he even says that the Heavenly Father was pleased because we could be reconciled and have a chance to go to heaven. He was willing to sacrifice himself even during the resurrection, as the guards during the Bible were freaking out. He told how intentional he's being just for us. The pastor, in his speech and how he was viewed, he views us as future people and leaders at his view. And his speech and again how he is excited to turn Jesus Club into a really big club. The big lesson that they were talking about is that we as Christians should live by God's example. Though it's a little bit vague that he said it, but he still said that he died for us, so we should be thankful. Anyways, big credits to Pastor Allen and Coach Colin as for the main headers today for today's lesson. But what was pretty funny during this, I think I forgot to mention this in my last point, is that the group that was right beside me, you guys, credit to you guys were applying like hand sanitizer and it was pretty loud as the teacher was talking. And I found it pretty funny because just imagine like the pastor saying like, yes, Jesus died for us. We should be thankful for what we're doing. And then in the background, you're just hearing someone like applying the perfume like ping, ping, ping. Anyways, English. I bet no coins today since we came right from Jesus Club and we're also late today. And the daily would you rather was a coffee date or ice cream date. And the teacher also made another funny joke describing ice cream with sunsets to another boy who was talking about it. Is that you have a girlfriend now and you're trying to give the rest of us advice. I'm like, shush, it's only been 5 minutes. My teacher's usually sassy like that, so it'll always be great to swear. One point that the teacher said is that it says zero here for all of the people in my class, and it's usually a mistake, but some of you guys should keep this zero, which she is inferring to the class that's actually failing. And then decided to spam click removing the zeros like with a loud mouse on it, and then also made a new assignment called Heidi's Dilemma. A funny point before that the teacher said again is that a student was saying like, "Hey teacher, there's shut up," which the teacher said, but the class ended up laughing. Then later on, there was a random boy in sports hair asking to open up a classroom since the teacher's gone to sports, I believe. So the teacher took a few seconds to open up the other classroom on the side. Essentially, Heidi's dilemma assignment is in simplified form is basically between two things. Greta is a Jewish girl whose family got deported. She has nowhere to go, but you have to choose two options. Leave her and tell her to go elsewhere, but she would risk being deported anyway and risk of his regime, but you and your family remain safe. Or hide her and hope nothing happens. Use a fake ID or hope they never find her. Or put on a good show, but your family's in risk. What choice will you do? It's like the Gestapo scene in Jojo Rabbit, for an example here. Now, our group had to come up to a decision on whether to leave her safer in a group activity that the teacher gave us. I said yes because we should take the risk because it teaches us how to hide. It teaches us our skills on how to hide people, especially in a regime like this. They said no because their parents would eventually end up saying no. My group also ended up saying no because we might also end up getting killed too and sent to the camps if we were a part of that family. And at the same time, we also had to consider Jojo Rabbit, the Gestapo, and the complexities that we stay safe. But then we'd have guilt. Think of it as survivor's guilt. Eventually, after the war, you'd still be thinking about that Jewish girl and whether she'd be survived or not. Did you have a role in like her place in this world or not? Like what happened? This was a partner activity, so no one wanted to do it, but we finished anyway. Usually, solo assignments work best. My group had responses to the reasoning saying that they would also kill us if they found out we were hiding her. And I tried other responses like blowing the cattle cars to rescue her or staging her rescue at a camp if you know where she's at. There was also a kid talking around and the teacher said, at least the kid behind you is fake typing. You're not, so get back to work. So I found that also pretty funny at the same time. Later on, the teacher complained in math class about how the class, again, how easy the work is to do, that she's been teaching for over 25 years and says half of the population doesn't know how to do work and robots are taking over. All that because students aren't willing to work. And she says it's apparently getting worse. Anyways, we overwent the quiz again, did a review about it. Quiz score was good, I got a 17 out of 20. But no way is that one problem that I said was solving for X. I ended up solving for C on a different side, but he marked it correct because it's a different side, but it was the same number in the review. So it was 18 on this side, but it was also 18 on the other side too. So she also assumed it as correct. A student from class also visited and said like the phone is $10 since it's broken and there's a bunch of broken screens, but a student had to his stuff back since he lost it. We had another shapes review using theorems and the quiz review obviously, and the last part of the assignment assigned. I stood there doing nothing because I was literally unprepared of the psychological stuff because I already moved seats. Remember about the invisible social bias thing, and my skills are just coming back, so I was just like sitting there for like 20 minutes and mostly depressing but calm and mellow I guess. And reflection videos also came late that I also say because yesterday guys my dad set up rat traps and like the hierarchy, he always expects me to throw them away since my mom has a ton of wildlife in the backyard. I hate doing it because I didn't ask for it, yet my parents are still pushing it on me. When I was there, I did wear my protective gear and use a biohazard ziploc carefully, and I opened the gloves, and it was dark. So thing is that I didn't want ants touching me, so I sprayed water directly on that trap where the dead rat was, and then I waited for the water to kind of stopped and said also doesn't splash back to me. And then use a trap since there's no more ants that are where I'm touching it at. And then eventually I freed the rat from the trap and then I put it in the Ziploc bag and threw it away. It was scary because I might get hantavirus considering like a fan before was on, but not directly in front of the rat trap. So eventually I turned it off. But it was so scary in the experience because it was pretty dark and watching around where I'm walking. And I was hoping that other traps didn't also have rats, so I didn't have as much work to do. But that experience though was scary. As I said, guys, my dad's methods of these are pretty controversial. So